3 Sinister Close Encounters Revealed, Haunted Experiences You Won't Believe Exist. Jamie rubbed her eyes as she stepped into the cool night air, a shiver running down her spine. The perfect suburb of Maplewood wrapped around her like a familiar blanket, porch lights burning warmly against the inky blackness. But she couldn't shake this feeling of dread cloaked in shadows, an unease that gnawed at her insides. As a single mother, she fought tirelessly at the diner to provide for her son, Ben, but tonight was different. The streets buzzed with normalcy, yet Jamie felt an undeniable disturbance lurking beneath the surface. Home at last. She pushed the front door open, and the familiar sound of the old hinges creaked like a warning. Ben's wide eyes met hers, full of a fear that made her heart drop. "Mom, it's back," he cried, voice trembling. "The shadows, they're watching me again." "What shadows, sweetheart?" Jamie knelt beside him, trying her best to sound calm. "You're just tired from school." "No. I see them." His voice rose, pleading. "There's a figure outside, it has eyes like holes." Panic flickered in the back of Jamie's mind, but she masked it, convinced it was just a child's imagination gone wild. But deep down, she felt the weight of the unsettling night growing heavier. Days passed, and the news of a beloved teacher vanishing pierced through the town, leaving whispers and murmurs echoing down its picturesque streets. Maplewood prided itself on safety, but Jamie felt the darkness close in. They weren't safe. An uneasy tension marked her interactions with neighbors. Those cheerful faces now seemed to mask unspeakable secrets. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Jamie's frustration boiled over when she reported the strange symbols etched into the grand old oak tree looming over their yard to the police. They brushed her off as if her worries were any less valid than the air. As she combed through the town's history, she stumbled upon whispers of an abandoned school, a place for troubled children, tangled with sorrow and malevolence that seeped through the very roots of Maplewood. Ben's fears escalated into uncontrollable dread. Each night, he spoke of a figure, an ominous silhouette just outside their home. A person who attracted the eerie shadows. Panic twisted her gut. Jamie's once safe world felt like the fraying edges of a nightmare, and every creak of the floorboard sent shivers up her spine. Convinced her neighbor, the seemingly harmless Mr. Thompson, was at the heart of the sinister happenings, Jamie felt herself spiraling. He was always too kind, too eager to help. But kindness now felt loaded, tainted with an unsettling darkness. Just as she began piecing together unsettling truths, a crash broke the night's silence, sending ice-cold fear shooting through her veins. Racing to the window, her breath caught in her throat as she saw Ben standing eerily still, staring into the shadowy depths of the yard. His face was blank, not a trace of the boy she knew. Was he already lost to the darkness? In that moment, dread swallowed her whole. What if the shadows had crept inside their home, targeting the most innocent? The night was just beginning, and the horrors lurking were coming to claim their next victim. The shadows seemed to pulse around Ben as he stood frozen, his small body highlighted by the faint moonlight filtering through the trees. Jamie's heart thundered in her chest. "Ben!" she whispered urgently, stepping back from the window, willing to go into the darkness, to pull him back to safety. But something was holding her back. A strange, suffocating force like cold, clammy hands gripping her throat. "Mom!" Ben's voice drifted into a chilling silence. "There's someone out there." Each word trembled on the brink of a scream. Dropping to her knees, she grabbed his shoulders, hoping to pull him away from whatever curse had seized him. "Ben, please. Come back to me." But he didn't move. Instead, he pointed, finger trembling toward the growing shadows at the edge of the yard. It's watching." In that moment, Jamie caught a glimpse of movement. She turned her head, heart racing, and for a flash, just at the periphery, she saw something dart between the trees. A dark figure, knotted and twisted, with empty eye sockets staring back, glimmering like black holes. A scream trapped in her throat as she pulled Ben closer, her mind racing with impossible thoughts. They were not alone. Run! We have to get inside. Panic clawed at her throat, and she yanked him toward the door. The creaking hinges wailed again, a mournful cry echoing their descent into terror. Just as they crossed the threshold, a loud crash erupted from the back of the house. The sound shattered the fragile safety Jamie had clung to. Adrenaline pounding, she quickly secured the door and locked it tight. Time had become a mere suggestion. Every second dragged, stretching the air into a suffocating web. Is it coming? Ben's voice was small but laden with fear. I don't know, she whispered, heart racing. Her gaze flickered around the familiar room, now the strangest of prisons. Every shadow seemed to writhe as if alive. Stay close to me. But beneath her calm facade, Jamie was fraying. Her instincts screamed that the true monster wasn't the figure outside, but something far deeper. A malevolence that had seeped into the very bones of Maplewood. The town had been hiding its darkness beneath manicured lawns and smiling faces. Would she and Ben become the next victims of this twisted game? Suddenly, another crash echoed through the house. This time from upstairs. Mom, it's in the house. Ben whispered, terror creeping into his voice. His eyes darted toward the staircase, where shadows pooled like ink-stained water. Jamie took a step back, scrambling for any sense of rationality. It can't be, she started, but the truth clawed at her insides. Inanimate objects don't crash unless someone was there. Stay behind me. She reached for the kitchen knife, gripping its handle tightly as she edged towards the stairs. Each pulse thundered in her ears as she took a tentative step up, followed by the soft sound of Ben's quick, frightened breaths, that S when she heard it. A whisper, cold and elongated, Jamie. Her name floated through the air, a mournful echo, wrapping around her like icy tendrils. With fire igniting her fear, Jamie spun around. Who's there? Her voice sounded stronger than she felt, filled with desperate courage. The shadows morphed at the end of the hall, twisting into shapes she couldn't recognize, and then, from the darkness of her memory, emerged a familiar figure she thought she had buried. A silhouette with hollow eyes. The final moments of that night pushed her past the brink of sanity. Because she knew the horror was far from over, what had the shadows awakened? And would she ever uncover the truth before it claimed her, too? A chill crept into the air as Jamie faced the specter drawing nearer. Her heart raced, each beat a thunderous reminder of how real the horror was. The figure, though faint, exuded a familiarity that terrorized her. No, it can't be. Mom? Ben's small voice quivered beside her, anchoring her to reality. She shifted her grip on the knife, knuckles white, eyes locked on the shadow. The figure's form coalesced, revealing her sister, Lily, the one lost years ago in a tragic accident. But this wasn't the Lily she remembered. This version looked hollow, gaunt, as if the life had been drained from her soul. Jamie's breath came in short gasps, memories bubbling up like a volcano bursting forth. What do you want? Jamie demanded, her voice steady despite the rising tide of panic. We buried you. You're gone. Lily's lips curled into a grim smile, one that felt more like a warning than a comfort. Jamie, I need you to remember. The words slithered from her mouth, thick with darkness. Stop. You're not her. Jamie shouted, but Lily stepped forward, penetrating the veil between life and death, moving with a grotesque grace. Darkness pulsed around her, licking at the walls as though they were consuming the very light of the room. You can't run from the truth. The voice distorted, echoing in a chilling chorus that felt all too tangible. You must open your eyes. Ben clutched at Jamie's shirt, eyes wide and trembling. Mom, please. Don't listen. The shadows deepened, pulling Jamie into a vortex of fractured memories, laughter on sunny days, whispered secrets under the stars, but also the screams, the crash, the darkness swallowing everything whole. The kitchen knife felt heavier in her hand. Jamie gritted her teeth. "I want to let you take him." She thrust the knife forward, aiming not at her sister but at the advancing darkness. With each stab at the air, the shadows recoiled, retreating momentarily, giving her a false sense of control. "You're not real. You can't hurt us." "Can't I?" Lily hissed as the wailing shadows lurched forward, forcing Jamie to stumble back against the wall. The air grew thick, suffocating her as tendrils of darkness tightened around her throat, pulling her closer to the abyss. Ben screamed, a raw, desperate sound. Jamie turned, horror flooding her system. He was standing there, mere feet away, but the shadows swelled around him like a storm, and the small warmth she felt when she looked at him evaporated. "Ben, no!" she cried, adrenaline surging. But before she could reach him, the darkness enveloped her son, twisting around his frail form as his cries faded into silence. The world shook as Jamie fought against the tendrils. A cold realization washed over her. "This is my fault, I brought this upon us, remember." The shadows were relentless, carrying Lily's voice through the din. "This is your past. Your burden. You did this." As reality fragmented around her, the knife slipped from Jamie's grip. She fell to her knees, feeling the weight of despair bearing down. All at once, a blinding light illuminated the room, washing over everything, scattering the shadows like mist, but in that moment of clarity, Jamie saw it. A chestnut box buried under layers of dust in the corner, the very thing Lily had hidden from her. She knew whatever was inside was the key, the answer she desperately needed to uncover if she could reach it before the darkness consumed them all. "Mom!" Ben's voice pierced through the haze. But as her heart raced, the shadows converged again, faster now, more furious. If she didn't act, if she didn't face the past, they would all be lost. Would the truth save them or seal their fate? Terrified, Jamie reached for the box as the shadows closed in around her. As Jamie lunged for the box, the shadows writhed menacingly, eager to reclaim her. Her fingers brushed the surface, a chill spreading from the wood like fingers of frost. It felt alive, pulsing under her touch. Every instinct screamed for her to flee, but she couldn't abandon Ben. He was her world. Quickly, she pried open the lid, the creaking sound echoing like a death knell in the suffocating air. Inside lay a series of yellowed photographs, brittle and faded, a visual timeline of memories long buried. One image caught her eye, a snapshot of the four of them at the lake, smiling faces against a backdrop of summer sun. It felt so normal, so unattainable now. "Mom, look out!" Ben's voice sliced through her distraction just as a shadow lunged, tendrils reaching for her like hungry claws. Jamie snatched the picture, shoving it into her pocket, and clutched the box to her chest, using it as a shield. It wasn't just a box, it was a weapon, a way to confront the past. The shadows hesitated, swirling around her like a disturbed nest of wasps, thwarted by her sudden resolve. "What do you want from us?" she shouted, voice trembling but fierce. "I want you to see." Lily's hollow voice echoed again, more desperate now. "You can't change what happened. You must face the truth." The pressure built as the darkness thickened, consuming the light around them. As she struggled for breath, Jamie remembered when Lily had first begun to unravel. The stress. The secrets. Jamie had pushed it all away, thinking it would shield her, protect them all. And Ben. No. The word burst from her lips like a spark. "I want to let you take anything else away from us." With newfound determination, she thrust the box forward, as if it were a shield against the chaos surrounding her. Dread seeped back into her bones, but Jamie held her ground. "Show me," she yelled, grappling with the photo memory she'd just stashed away. Images flickered in the air like a film reel, shadows reversing and revealing themselves. That's when she saw it, the event that fractured their lives, the accident. It played out in tortured detail, Lily's laughter turning to screams. The visual was intoxicating, pulling her in deeper. She was trapped within the ghostly scene. Jamie saw the car, the way it swerved, the sickening sound of metal crumpling, heard Lily's voice screaming her name, Mom. Please. Ben's small voice trembled, dragging her back to the moment, grounding her in reality. He was still there, under siege, but alive. Help me. With a gasp, Jamie turned her focus from the memory back to the present, the box still trembling in her grip. It was still hers, still anchored in the now. The truth was ugly, but it was hers to confront. I will remember, but I'll fight. She declared defiantly, daring the shadows to overtake her as she pulled the photograph from her pocket and opened it wide, showcasing the moment of joy they shared. We were happy once, and we can be again. You can't control us. The shadows shrieked, a cacophony of despair swirling around her, but the image burst with blinding light, pushing back against the encroaching darkness. It pushed against their memories like a beacon, trying to illuminate the truth buried beneath fear. But then, the fabric of reality trembled, and the shadows counterattacked, unleashing a torrent of memories that felt like a storm, suffocating her. Jamie braced herself as a new vision clawed to the forefront, emptiness, silence, and loss, all interwoven with the moment of choice that led to the catastrophe. As the abyss threatened to swallow them whole, Jamie realized she needed to confront not just the darkness, but the secrets that festered within. She had to peel back the layers of pain until she reached the heart of the horror, the final truth that lay buried in the depths of her sister's sorrow or risk losing everything. Uncertainty gripped her as the brilliant light flickered, leaving shadows to tighten their hold. What sinister secret lay hidden in the depths of that box? If she revealed it, would it shatter her world or save it? Desperation surged through her veins, and with a deep breath, she shouted again, "Show me everything. I am ready." The world swirled around Jamie, the once familiar landscape twisting into a nightmare. She clutched the box tightly, the rough edges digging into her palms, grounding her against the onslaught of shadows. A cacophony of echoes surrounded her, memories clawing to the surface, desperate to free themselves. Suddenly, the shadows coalesced, forming figures that lined the periphery of her vision. They were vague at first, but the more she focused on the light from the photo, the clearer the forms became. Familiar faces. People she had loved. Lost. Their eyes were hollow, mouths moving as though trying to warn her, but no words came. They were locked in a silent scream, a desperate plea for recognition, for release. "Lily!" Jamie yelled, voice cracking under the weight of fear. "I'm sorry. I need to understand." The darkness seemed to draw back, momentarily confused, as if Jamie's determination was a shimmer of light that held them at bay. Heart hammering, she stepped forward, the light from the photo illuminating even the darkest recesses of the box. As she did, a gust of wind erupted, sending pages of old letters swirling like autumn leaves around her, each drifting memory heavy with regret. One letter flitted close, the handwriting unmistakable. It was from Lily. Jamie gasped and reached out, fingertips grazing the fragile paper. The words seemed to pulse with emotion, a hurt so deep it threatened to overtake her. "I didn't mean to hurt you, I thought I could make it better." The shadows surged closer, their whispers becoming a nauseating chorus of her mother's regrets and Lily's despair. Jamie's pulse quickened as she pieced together the fragmented memories. The letter revealed a family secret, one that linked their fates inextricably to the accident. A web of lies, crafted in the name of protection, had been spun tightly around them. "Show me the truth," she cried again, feeling the pulse of energy resonate within her. In response, the shadows pulled back, revealing a vivid scene that flashed before her eyes. The day of the accident played out again, but this time, Jamie stood not as an observer, but as if trapped inside the moment itself. She could feel the warmth of the sun on her skin, but instead of peace, dread coiled in her stomach. She was at the lake, the laughter of her family echoing as they splashed through the water. It felt alive, intoxicating, but then it twisted. She saw herself, a younger version, urging Lily to stay longer, to enjoy the day. The moment of choice approached, a decision that would change everything. Panic clawed at Jamie's throat. She had urged Lily to take that drive. No. The bitterness of realization struck like a physical blow. She had believed it was just a family outing, a happy day, oblivious to the shadows lurking beneath the surface of their joy. Suddenly, the scene warped again, darkening and twisting. The shadows surged, enraged. No one can escape the truth. Lily's voice boomed, resonating deep within her. The shadows writhed like snakes, coiling and hissing, eager to take her down with them. Ben! She shouted, desperate to tear her focus away before the shadows consumed everything. He was still there, but his voice sounded far away, muffled by the chaotic wails of the darkness. With a surge of adrenaline, Jamie turned back to the box, scrambling to sift through the letters and photographs, searching for any clue, anything that could help Ben. A sharp edge caught her finger as she dug deeper, drawing a thin slice of blood. The instant the crimson drop touched the photograph, it ignited with an otherworldly light. Images morphed around her as the shadows recoiled, screeching in fury, and then everything went dark. Jamie gasped for breath, her heart stuttering in her chest. Ben's terrified face flickered in her memory, the last image grounding her. Open your eyes, Jamie. This isn't over. The shadows were summoning her, clawing for retribution. She needed to unveil the final truth before it was too late, not just for herself, but for Ben too. The box trembled, alive with secrets yet to be unearthed. With steely determination, she whispered, "What did you hide from me, Lily?" The darkness pulsed around her, and a new vision broke through, beckoning her. Could it be the truth she yearned for, or another trap set by the shadows? It seemed to whisper in tantalizing tones, pulling her in with the promise of clarity or destruction. The ground beneath her shifted, and with it, reality began to crack. Reality splintered, warping as the light from the photograph grew brighter, illuminating the faces of the shadows that had once threatened to engulf her. But now, something had changed. They were not just forms anymore, they were sensations, a mix of longing and fury, standing at the edge of her very existence, begging to be acknowledged. "Who are you?" Jamie shouted into the void, her voice barely echoing over the weight of despair that clung to her like a shroud. The shadows danced closer, flickering like candle flames caught in a storm. Then a face broke through Lily. Her expression twisted in anguish. "You have to choose, Jamie. It's not just about uncovering the past, it's about facing what you've done." Jamie shuddered. The weight of her past decisions bore down on her like a leaden curtain. "What do you mean? I didn't choose this. You can't blame me for that day." The shadows roared, their fury erupting like a thunderstorm. "But you did. Every decision leads to another. You wanted to know more, and now it's time to pay the price." Suddenly, the scene shifted again. Jamie was back at the lake, only now the water surged violently, threatening to swallow her whole. "Ben!" She screamed, desperately searching for him, but he was nowhere in sight. Every splash and ripple reminded her of the chaos that had unfolded that fateful day. The image flickered, then shifted again. This time, she was in a dimly lit room, surrounded by family portraits. Faces stared back at her with a mix of love and betrayal. Yellowed papers littered the floor, revealing secrets she never knew. Clues about the accident. Clues about Lily's desperate attempts to protect her. Lily. Jamie hesitated, a flicker of understanding igniting within her. "You knew something and you tried to warn me. Too late for warnings now." The shadows curled around her, the air thick with sorrow and foreboding. "You can't escape the truth that lies within." "Let me see it," Jamie demanded. "Show me." With a loud crack, images collided around her, filling her mind with flashes of memories she had locked away. The echoing laughter of a family filled the air, then quickly turned to screams. Jamie felt herself dissolve into the confusion, losing touch with her reality as she was dragged deeper into the maelstrom of regret and pain. Then, everything shifted again. Darkness blanketed her. Jamie stumbled through the void, her heart racing wildly. "Ben! Where are you?" Her voice echoed eerily, swallowed by the silence hanging around her. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the dark, a boy, just on the edge of visibility. It was Ben, but something was wrong. His eyes were wide with terror, his silhouette trembling as if he was caught in a web of his own nightmares. "Jamie, help me," he whispered, his voice hoarse and fragile. "No. Please." She rushed towards him, but he began to fade, vanishing like smoke in the wind, and Jamie felt a scream clawing at her throat. Face the decision. Face the truth. Lily's haunting voice echoed, filling the space around her. Desperation surged within Jamie. Everything she had worked to uncover was trapped in this turmoil, beckoning and holding her captive all at once. She thought of that day, the pleas she had ignored, her sister's laughter fading as they drove away. "Ben!" she shouted, her voice a mixture of rage and despair, "I want to lose you." And just as the shadows lunged, wrapping around her, reality twisted once more, leaving her at a crossroads. She had a choice, the weight of her actions heavy on her shoulders. Would she heed the warnings woven into the fabric of her past, or plunge deeper into the darkness for answers? The shadows faded briefly, revealing shimmering words in the air like a promise. The truth, or oblivion? Heart racing, Jamie stood frozen, every instinct urging her to run, or to stay and confront the darkness. The vision flickered once more before crashing down, reality unraveling like frayed threads of yarn. "What is it going to be, Jamie?" The shadows hissed, and her breath caught in her throat as she felt the pull of both paths. In that moment, everything hung in the balance. Would she step forward into the unknown, or retreat into the safety of ignorance? As the shadows lunged again, Jamie knew she had but a heartbeat to decide. Jamie felt as if the air had thickened, pressing against her lungs in a suffocating embrace. Her heart raced, wild and frantic, the shadows whispering her name, Jamie, Jamie, each echo pulling her deeper into their dark embrace. The moment felt like a distorted eternity, the choice imminent and weighty. Choose. The shadows screamed, an overwhelming roar that vibrated through her bones, or be consumed. Sweat trickled down her temples as she wrestled with her fear. She thought of Ben, of the cold chills settling in her gut whenever she thought of that day at the lake. Could what happened truly be her fault? Her mind replayed the details, screaming voices, splashing water, and the stillness that followed. The guilt was a phantom that haunted her, clinging to her heels like a relentless shadow. "Yeah, or I could bury it," she muttered to herself, her voice trembling in the dark. Shadows ripped at that thought, hissing indignantly, as if the very idea of retreat was an affront. But can I really forget? Suddenly, the darkness shifted again. It morphed into flickering images. She saw herself laughing, carefree, a laughter that once filled the air like sunlight. Then, it twisted grotesquely, her laughter replaced by cries. The faces of those captured in the blur looked on helplessly. Each face seemed to scream at her, their eyes filled with blame, leaving her breathless. "Stop it!" she shouted, desperation mingling with anger. "I want to forget. I want to walk away." A ripple of cold swept through, cutting her like a knife. The shadows shrieked, the air electrified with their rage. "You will not escape your choice, Jamie." Suddenly, the ground beneath her feet felt alive, pulsing like a heartbeat, and she stumbled. "What do you want from me?" She spun around, longing for an answer, any answer that might keep her from the gnawing dread boiling inside her. "We want you to face yourself," whispered Lily's voice, softer now, almost mournful. "Every fragment of your past, every choice, every regret, it all leads back to this moment." Jamie clenched her fists, heart pounding against her ribs. Images flashed, the lake again, Ben's terrified eyes, and then faces from years gone by, old friends, family long lost, staring back with an intensity that was suffocating. Stop! She screamed, the weight of the memories nearly crushing her. Then, in a heartbeat, everything stilled. Shadows hovered around her, an eerie calm settling in as Jamie gasped for breath. You must confront the truth, Lily urged, now a mere wisp within the chaos, or live with the torment of your choices. A surge of anger ignited within Jamie. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. She protested, a mix of sorrow and fury bubbling up. I was just trying to find the truth. You wanted to unveil the past, the shadows scoffed, surrounding her in a swirl of darkness. But it holds debts that must be paid. Just then, a shimmering outline appeared amidst the shadows. It flickered and pulsed, revealing a path stretching out before her, a crooked road beckoning in the distance. There was a choice woven with the strands of fate. Jamie stepped closer, her heart drumming louder. The warmth of the path felt deceptive, enticing yet fraught with danger. It promised answers, but what if those answers were her undoing? Will you face what you've done, Jamie? The shadows taunted. Or continue to live in lingering whispers of regret? Behind her, the darkness roared and surged with renewed fury, but ahead, the path glimmered like a beacon, shrouded in mystery. Jamie took a deep breath, feeling every ounce of responsibility pull her forward. What would it reveal? Would she confront her past, or be swallowed by the weight of her choices? With a resolve that thrummed with dread, Jamie moved forward into the light, unaware of the true horror that awaited her on the other side. As reality flickered and night swallowed her whole, she felt a terrifying pull, a glimpse of a truth that could shatter everything. Not yet, Jamie, a voice whispered from the depths. Your decision has just begun. Jamie stepped onto the path, an unsettling warmth enveloping her. The air shifted, and the shadows pressed in closer as if eager to see her fate unfold. She could feel the pulse beneath her feet quickening, urging her forward, but the nagging voice in her mind screamed for her to turn back. What am I doing? She thought, her heart pounding like a war drum in her chest. The whispers buzzed around her, loud and chaotic, reminding her of her past. They seemed to mold into words, their intent malicious, clawing at her sanity. You want it, don't you? The truth? Let us go back to the beginning. The road twisted beneath her, the landscape shifting, revealing a dark reflection of her childhood home. The memories surged, a tidal wave of nostalgia mixed with sharp regret. There it stood, the old house, its once lively colors faded, the shutters dangling like broken wings, and the porch sagging, weary from years of neglect. Do you remember this place? The shadows hissed, their voices mingling with the creaking of the house. Do you remember what you did? Images rolled like a film across her mind, her childhood laughter, the long summer days, but also the dark corners, the secrets whispered beneath the guise of family. Jamie hesitated. Along with the light, the dark memories came rushing back, unbidden and raw. Lily? She called out, her voice trembling, are you here? A movement in the shadows caught her eye, and there stood Lily, her face a pale flicker of familiarity. But something was off. The warmth that Jamie had once felt from her friend had turned icy, as if a distance had grown between them. Jamie, Lily's voice echoed, distant yet haunting. You have to remember everything. The truth lies within you. What truth? Jamie cried, frustration might have cracked her voice. What are you talking about? But before Lily could respond, the house roared to life, the window shutters banging against the walls, a haunting symphony of chaos. A flash of light illuminated a broken silhouette standing in the doorway. Ben? She gasped, the name spilling from her lips like a desperate plea. The figure remained still, a dark silhouette against the faint glow from inside. You shouldn't have come back, he said, his voice layer with pain. As Jamie stepped closer, her heart twisted with the weight of familiar fear and guilt. Ben, I'm so sorry. Sorry won't change what happened, he interrupted, stepping closer, but shadows wrapped around him like a shroud, distorting his features. Anguish burned in his eyes, magnifying the sorrow they both knew too well. You have to let it go, Jamie. You're tormented by your choice, but facing it means facing me. The shadows stirred, hissing with displeasure, feeding off the tension. Jamie's pulse raced faster. What do you want from me? She whispered, panic creeping at the edges of her awareness. Only the truth, and payment for the secret you buried. The shadows chimed together, their voices a cacophony now, creeping closer with every word. What secret? Her thoughts began to spiral, twisting into an inferno of dread. Fear clawed her throat as she realized this might not just be an encounter with her past, this was an execution waiting to unfold. Then, just as the darkness began to close in, a piercing scream erupted from the house, echoing in the dead night, breaking the spell for a fleeting second. Jamie! A new voice cried, desperate and frantic. It wasn't Ben. It didn't belong in this moment. The shadows recoiled, momentarily stunned. What was that? Their murmur turned to fury, and a gust of wind whipped through the air. Jamie's hope ignited briefly, but dread remained heavy in her gut. She felt the ground vibrate beneath her feet. Who is it? She screamed, fear thickening with uncertainty. The shadows hissed again, voices rising in a twisted chorus. You must choose, Jamie. Driven by instinct, Jamie turned to the house, the screams intensifying. There were truths hiding behind those walls, deeper than what she thought she knew, and as she took her first step toward the old porch, one thought consumed her: was she ready to open Pandora's box? Help me, she whispered into the dark, but the answer was the silence that followed. The choice lay ahead, shrouded in the heart of her past, lingering like a shadow waiting to pounce. What awaited her inside? With a deep breath, she reached for the doorknob, the metal cold and unyielding. But had she awakened something worse than herself? The doorknob turned slowly beneath Jamie's fingers, a chilling groan resonating from the hinges as the door creaked open. Darkness spilled out, wrapping around her like tendrils of smoke. She hesitated, heart thumping wildly, sweat creeping down her back. Inside, the air was thick and stale, a smell solely composed of abandonment. The faint outlines of familiar furniture loomed in the abyss of the living room: a dusty couch, an old coffee table, and family portraits, their faces smeared with time yet still staring hauntingly at her with eyes full of accusation. Jamie, a whisper slithered from somewhere deep within, unmistakable though muffled by the heavy gloom. You have to see. Taking a breath, she stepped over the threshold. The floorboards creaked underfoot, each sound magnifying her dread. She scanned the room, heart hammering. Shadows danced along the walls, mocking her efforts to breathe normally, to think clearly. Through the dimness, Jamie saw a flicker. The source of the scream? Where was that voice? Help me, she whispered again, the enormity of her childhood regret clawing at her. Suddenly, the living room light flickered on, flooding the space with a sickly yellow glow. The shadows recoiled, hissing war cries in the corner of her mind. Jamie's gaze darted around, landing on the walls. They weren't empty anymore. Remember? The walls seemed to scratch out with each glimmer of light, revealing fragments of memories she desperately tried to ignore. Childhood laughter stole the air, echoing with a piercing clarity. Lily! She gasped, memories flooding back, scenes from summer afternoons spent running through the neighborhood, the feeling of security. But right behind were the darker moments, the nights filled with muffled cries and tears. In the corner of the room stood a mirror, reflecting her wide, terrified eyes. It wasn't just her, a figure lurked just behind her. Panic surged as she turned. Nothing was there. Jamie, you need to believe, came again, clearer this time. Believe what? She shouted into the void, desperate for answers. The house shuddered. It felt alive, hungry for her to spill the secrets locked deep inside. The murmurs intensified, a whirlwind of ghostly voices murmuring her name, blending with the sound of her heart. You two were meant to protect each other. Ben's face flashed in her mind, that piercing look of betrayal layered with loss. Their bond had turned toxic, and now she was tethered here, in this place where every memory had a weight, a price. Lily, I should have done more. Jamie's voice was thin, wavering in the oppressive silence. What do I need to face? In an instant, the mirror warped, rippling like water. She stepped closer, transfixed, her breath hitching as she saw memories reflected in dizzying colors, moments gone wrong, laughter twisted into terror. She was drowning in it. Jamie! A scream sliced through the darkness. It was more frantic now, charged with urgency. Lily! Are you? But the shadows in the room surged forward, a tangible force igniting her fight-or-flight instincts. They wrapped around her, pulling her back, demanding a price for the truth she sought. No, no! She shouted, panic clawing up her throat as she felt an icy grip on her arm. Let go of me! The screaming intensified, muffled by the walls closing in on her. Shadows laughed, taunting her desperation, feeding off her fear. Are you ready to pay what you owe? With the last remnants of courage, Jamie turned back to the mirror, its surface now swirling with chaotic images: Lily, Ben, and something else clawing at the edges of the frame. No! She screamed, and the echo twisted in on itself. I don't owe anyone anything. But the shadows laughed louder, drowning out her protest. A surge of lightning flashed, illuminating a figure trapped in the mirror. A wretched scream escaped its lips, one that sounded so hauntingly familiar. Terror swarmed around Jamie, and as an unbearable pressure closed in, she knew, there was no escaping the truth now. What had she awakened in this house of horrors, and what would it demand of her next? The reflection's eyes bore into her, waiting, always waiting. The choice had never been hers. Yet, still, it felt as if she were on the brink. Then, with a jarring roar, the house trembled, and the mirror shattered, plunging Jamie into an abyss as everything went black. What awaited her in that unending darkness? Jamie hit the ground hard, gasping for breath, enveloped in a thick fog of darkness. Her heart raced, an angry drum echoing in her ears. She could barely see, but shadows writhed around her, twisted whispers climbing up her spine. Fear gripped her, but she was far from powerless. Ben! She cried out, voice trembling as the emptiness swallowed her words. Suddenly, the darkness began to shimmer and morph. Shapes emerged slowly, faces twisting into familiar forms. Their eyes were full of sorrow, accusing her with their gaze. Jamie stumbled backward, panic rising alongside the growing noise, a chorus of wails and muffled screams. Face them, Jamie. Face yourself. Lily's voice cut through the chaos, piercing her heart like a knife. The weight of regret crashed over her. She could hear the sound of splashing water, the shrieks of her family in distress, all wrapped in the fog of the past. Her breath hitched. She knew she had to push through this, had to find Ben. Where are you? She shouted. I want to lose you. As if in answer, a flicker of light cut through the shadows, revealing a narrow path ahead. Gritting her teeth, Jamie surged forward, stumbling but never breaking her stride. Every step echoed her resolve. Mom! Ben's voice broke through the night like a beacon, guiding her. You have to hurry. Tears burned in her eyes, but she wiped them away fiercely. I'm coming, sweetheart. The closer she got, the clearer his silhouette became. He was standing there among the shadows, vulnerable yet fierce, arms outstretched. Jamie felt a surge of energy. With every ounce of love swelling in her chest, the shadows around them began to retreat, shrieking in anger. Mom! Ben cried again, his eyes wide, glistening with fear. Stop hiding! Jamie shouted, her voice reverberating. You don't scare us anymore. With those words, the shadows recoiled, letting out a chorus of desperate howls that pierced the air. Jamie could see Ben faltering as the darkness twisted around him, creeping like fingers. But she wasn't afraid any longer. I refuse to let you win, she shouted into the suffocating gloom, thrusting her palm forward as if to physically push back the shadows. The light from within her kindled, igniting in a blazing flame. The warmth spread through her body, illuminating the space, scattering the darkness. The shadows twisted and writhed like smoke in a gust of wind. Remember the joy. She yelled, heart racing faster. Remember the love. Images flickered vividly in her mind, the smiles, the laughter, the moments they shared. Each good memory sizzled with power against the encroaching darkness. The memories surged, breaking free from the chains of sorrow. She saw herself and Ben building forts, playing in the park, laughing over ice cream cones. Joy that had once been suffocated began to flood back, the shadows weakened, shrieking with fury, "You cannot alter the past. You're bound by your choices." Gritting her teeth, Jamie felt her resolve solidifying. No one is bound by the past if they choose to let it go. With a final push, she summoned her inner strength. Bursting with light and courage, every conviction surged through her as she screamed out, "I forgive you, Lily. I forgive myself." As those words left her lips, the shadows erupted with a deafening scream, dissipating like smoke in the wind, suffocated by the cleansing light. They faded and dissolved until all that remained was the warmth of her love encasing Ben as he rushed into her arms. "Mom!" he exclaimed, trembling but safe. They embraced tightly, and Jamie could feel the weight of the past lifting, the heavy cloak of guilt and despair finally dissolving. "I'm here," Jamie whispered, squeezing him tighter. "I'll never let you go again." The small tremors of the darkness faded away, replaced by a comforting stillness. Slowly, the fog lifted, revealing the old house around them, now filled with light, the broken mirror mended as if no injury had ever existed. Out of the corner of her eye, Jamie caught a glimpse of Lily's spirit, smiling softly, finally at peace. The shadows that had haunted their family were gone, unraveled by the truth, now submerged in light. "Thank you," Jamie whispered, her heart swelling with gratitude. "I love you," Ben said, looking up at her with awe. With time, they walked outside together, starlight above them and hope rising like the dawn. Jamie held Ben close, feeling whole again, ready to embrace every moment, every laugh, every tear, vowing never to let fear take her family away again. "Come on, let us go home," she said, taking Ben's hand, stepping forward into the warmth of the night, leaving the darkness far behind them. "Now that you've reached the end of this incredible journey with Jamie and Ben, it's the moment to show your support for this channel. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will captivate your imagination. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm and help spread the word about these thrilling experiences. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about Jamie's story. Your thoughts matter, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this heart-stopping conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting our channel, so let us do this together.